All right, today we're going to put together a net sheet for a seller, so a seller net sheet. First, we're going to go to Thompson Affinity Title. This is the current website we use. We're probably going to be switching that up soon as our title company gets their own website. But for now, this is what we've got. So the first thing that we're going to do is put in the property location, which I have to grab that out of my email. I'm actually putting this together for one of our agents and was going to do a training on it. The sales price also is going to be the price that you believe the house is going to sell for. Now, typically what I'll do is kind of worst case scenario on that, so that whenever I get to the house, if I get there and it's a hot mess and I'm like, oh no, that number was too high or is on the high end, I can always say, well, this is on the high end. But at the same time, if I do it on the high end now and I get there and it's a hot mess, then I have overshot myself. The other side of that then is if I get there and the house is really nice, then I can always say, and this is what I prefer to say, is this is absolute worst case scenario. I like to under promise and over deliver, et cetera, et cetera. So that's usually how I handle that. So in this particular case, we think this house is going to be right around 205 on the high, or on the high side, but we're going to say 198 on the low side. These particular clients really want to see 200, so we're going to go ahead and put the net sheet together for 200 for them. Closing date, whenever I put the closing date, I always run it for 2 months out from the day I'm running the net sheet. So for me, that's going to be January 22nd because today's November 22nd. If they have any mortgage payoffs, I'm going to put that in right here. So this particular house owes $100,000. Real estate broker commissions is going to be 3% to each side, and then you're going to put a $395 broker admin fee here. Homeowners associations, if you know HOA dues, you can put that in here. I usually don't worry too much about that unless unless it's like a monthly fee, then that can be a little bit different, and I like to put that on there. But if it's an annual fee, I don't get too hung up just because it's not going to have that much of a bearing in the long run, and so I don't want to have to worry about that. So I'm just going to leave that blank because if they do have an HOA there, it's pretty small. Property tax prorations, you're going to put the most recent tax amount, annual tax amount. It'll prorate it for you. So the tax amount last year for this house was $2374, so I'm going to put that there. Other sellers and credits and expenses. I've got mine pre-set up. You can save this way, but I always put in buyer closing costs of $3,500. I explain to the seller, like, I don't know if or how much that buyer is going to ask for, but $3,500 is just, I'm putting a number out there because, again, I want to under promise and over deliver. I don't want to present you with an offer and then you're asking me what happened to this fee that I never told you about. And so I always throw a number in there. Home warranty, I always put $640 in there because it costs $570. And then if the seller's going to offer the home warranty up front and wants HVAC coverage, which we just assume they always do, it's $570 plus another $70, so it's $640 total. And then I just throw prepaid interest in here, $500, knowing that they're going to have some prepaid interest. I don't know what that number is going to be because I don't know exactly what day we're going to close, and I don't know what their interest rate is. So I typically just throw in $500 there. Again, trying to just provide some round numbers, and that's it. So address, sales price on the low end of what you think it's going to sell for, closing date 2 months out from the day you're running it. Your mortgage payoff is going to go right here. Your real estate commissions right here. Don't forget the transaction fee. HOA dues, if you know that they have them, you can put that here. Be aware, some of the newer ones and more expensive, or like Weatherby will have a transfer fee. So just bigger, more expensive neighborhoods, or like Weatherby's transfer fees like $2,500 for the first tier. So if you're aware of that, you can put that in there. Property tax proration, and then your other expenses. And then you hit calculate. And that's the number that they would walk away with a $100,000 loan. So I always then am going to save it. I'm going to save it their last name, and then I'm going to put a colon, and then I'm going to put the property address. And that way our transaction coordinator can come in and easily find the one you've already prepared, and all they have to do is edit it when they actually get the real offer we're accepting, and she can send over an updated net sheet with the real numbers, real dates, everything, but it's already started for her. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and then I'm also going to hit print to PDF. And then it's going to load. I'm going to hit open PDF, and I'm done. And I'm just going to download 2 copies of that form so that I can take it with me, and that way they can have a copy to keep so they can play around with the numbers if they want later, get some ballpark. Well, what if we did this? What if we did that? Make sure that whenever you go over the net sheet with them, you explain that the closing costs are negotiable, the home warranty is negotiable, but those are really about the only 2 things on there that are negotiable. and that we don't know what that's going to look like. And sometimes sellers will say, well, I'm not paying closing costs for the buyer. Well, I understand that. And yet at the same time, if the house sits on the market for 3 months or whatever, and you've got to sell, you're probably going to pay closing costs for the buyer if they need them. If we get an offer the first weekend and there's closing costs on there, we can typically script around that and figure that out. So kind of depends on the activity. Just don't get too caught up with them about whether they will or will not pay closing costs on this first discussion. You just kind of shake your head and nod and just know that you'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But again, what we're trying to do is provide absolute worst case scenario. So that's a quick video on how to run a seller net sheet. Thanks.